o'clock, here's the world news at 5. First, the top stories. Yayi and Isiaka agreed to work together on Ogun State 2019 governorship. Varsity's non-academic staff warm up to resume their suspended strike. Nigeria's Chief Justice warns court staff against leaking judgment. Troops repel insurgent attack on Borno village. In foreign, dust storms kill 74, injure scores in India. And UN wants Trump not to dump Iran's nuclear deal. Good evening, I am Aghemerio Oaikhenan, bringing you the news and details shortly. And now the news and detail. Two major Ogun State governorship aspirants, Senator Solomon Adiola, popularly called Yayi, and Prince Guiga Isiaka, have agreed to work together to ensure that Ogun West produces the state's next governor. Both aspirants, who are from Ogun West Senatorial District, announced the deal in Ilaro on Monday at a meeting of the Ogun West Leaders Forum Political Dialogue. Adiola, who is an APC senator, told the gathering he was ready to sacrifice his 2019 governorship ambition to actualize the agenda of Ogun West to produce Ogun's next governor. He also promised to finance and made available his political machinery to support any aspirant chosen by the leaders from the zone, while asking them not to allow external forces to hijack the process of picking a consensus candidate for the zone. Prince Isiaka, a PDP member who has contested the governorship poll on the ticket twice, also says he is ready to cooperate with Senator Adiola for the Ogun West governorship project. The leaders at the forum urged both politicians to work together for the Ogun West to present a formidable governorship candidate for the zone. At the meeting were former Deputy Governor Salmat Baju, Emeritus Professor Anthony Ashiwaju, former Ogun State Assembly Speaker Tunji Egbetokun, and Chairman of the Oshoba faction of Ogun APC, Chief Ulu Agemo. Others are members of the State House of Assembly, Razak Odunton, Uglushola Shonuga, and Israel Jalaosho. Nigeria Customs Service says it has intercepted smuggled items in Ogun State whose duty value is 53.4 million naira in the past 2 weeks. The newly posted controller to the Ogun State Command, Michael Agbara, who made this known to newsmen at the Idiroko border post, says the items were intercepted within Abeokuta-Idiroko axis. The seized items include 3,041 bags of parboiled rice, 99 packs of cannabis compressed into book size, and 295 kegs of groundnut oil. Others are 221 kegs of petrol, 24 second-hand vehicles, and 28 bags of sugar. Non-academic staff of federal universities have threatened to resume their suspended strike anytime from now. Chairman of the Joint Action Committee of the university's non-academic staff, Mr. Adeduru Jaye, told newsmen in Akure that the agreement signed with federal government 5 weeks ago to end strike by the non-academic staff is yet to be implemented. The agreement, according to him, covered the implementation of the judgment of the National Industrial Court on school teachers of university schools, the payment of earned allowances, the shortfall in salaries and funding of university system. He says that the National Executive Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities will meet next week on the issue, while that of the non-academic staff of universities had met last week. The number of Nigerian doctors working in the UK has been sharply increasing, according to research by fact-checking organization Africa Check. Last year, the number of Nigerian doctors registered with the UK General Medical Council nearly doubled, an increase of 89%. The report says that in 2016, a total of 245 doctors registered in the UK, adding that the number sharply rose to 439 last year, taking the number of doctors to 5,060. So far this year, on average 12 Nigerian doctors were being registered every week, bringing the total number to 5,250, on April 28, 2018, according to the fact-checking body. The first year for which data was listed, 2006, showed 2,692 Nigerian doctors registered. The Nigerian Army has warned its personnel against using the social media to air grievances or operational strategies. The Army says some officers are disclosing some classified information or grievances on the social media. Army Chief of Policy and Planning, Major General Rashid Yusuf, says such disclosure violates the Army regulations and endangers the national security. General Yusuf, speaking at the Officer Office Management and Document Security Workshop in Abuja, explained that a directorate has been set up to manage the use of social media in the Army. Nigeria's Chief Justice Walter Onohe has accused staff of courts of leaking the rulings and judgments yet to be delivered by judges to parties in the cases. Justice Onohe leveled the allegation at the National Workshop for Information and Communication Technology staff of court, warning court staff to stop the act. The Chief Justice of the Federation urged them to always be guided by the code of conduct guiding their operations. He asked them to avoid unethical conduct in order to retain the confidence of the public in the Nigerian judiciary. A man has jumped from the 5th floor of the University College Hospital, Ibadan. He died immediately his body hit the ground. The man was said to have removed his rubber slippers, put them on the floor before jumping to his death. Spokesman of the teaching hospital, DG Bobade, says the 5th floor from where the man jumped from is a museum and has no ward for patient. He explains that the identity of the man is yet to be determined. Troops have repelled attack by Boko Haram fighters on a village in Kunduga local government area of Borno State. The insurgents invaded Aono village, which is 13 kilometers to Maiduguri, on Wednesday night. The attack caused panic in the village and Kunduga, forcing residents to flee their homes. Last week, Boko Haram fighters also caused panic in Maiduguri as they attempted to enter the city. The attack occurred as security forces beefed up security in Biu in Adamawa State, where suicide bombers last Tuesday killed 27 and injured 67 in a market and a mosque in the commercial town. You are still listening to the World News at 5 in Rock City. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sport news. Please just stay with us. Foreign scene. At least 74 people have died and scores more were injured in fierce dust storms that hit the northern Indian states of Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. The storms on Wednesday disrupted electricity, uprooted trees, destroyed houses and killed livestock. Many of the dead were sleeping when their houses collapsed after being struck by intense bursts of lightning. 45 people died in Uttar Pradesh, 36 of them in Agra district, which is home to the Taj Mahal monument. Officials believe the death toll could increase. The storm also hit the capital, Delhi, more than 100 kilometers away, along with heavy rains late on Wednesday evening. The state government has also announced that families of the dead will receive about $6,000 as compensation. A gang of robbers dug a tunnel to enter Al Baraka Bank in South Africa's main city, Johannesburg, in the early hours of Wednesday morning. However, the attempt to rob the bank failed because the alarm went off and the gang fled, the bank's chief operating officer says. Police have still not caught the robbers. South Africa has one of the highest rates of crime in the world. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has urged the U.S. President Donald Trump not to walk away from an international deal designed to prevent Iran acquiring nuclear weapons. Mr. Guterres warns there is a real risk of war if the 2015 agreement is not preserved. The U.S. President has until May 12 to decide whether to stick with the deal. European allies France, the UK and Germany, meanwhile, have agreed that pursuing the current nuclear deal with Iran is the best way to stop it developing nuclear weapons. On Monday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revealed what he says are extract and exact copies of documents obtained by Israeli intelligence from a secret storage facility in Tehran. There were, he said, 55,000 pages of evidence and a further 55,000 files on 183 CDs relating to a secret nuclear weapons program dubbed Project Ahmad, which had the explicit goal of producing 5 warheads, each with a yield of 10 kilotons of TNT. And now in business. Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) has asked state governors to give autonomy to the State Internal Revenue Service. The agency chairman, Babatunde Fowler, makes the call in Ilorin at the 15th meeting of the Joint Tax Board. Autonomy for State Internal Revenue Service, according to FIRS chairman, will enhance professionalism and improve the generation of more revenue for the state government. Fowler cited the example of Kwara State Governor, who, granting autonomy to the State Internal Revenue Service, has raised the state's internally generated revenue. According to him, the autonomy has enabled the State Internal Revenue Service to raise the state IGR from 7.1 billion naira yearly in 2015 to 17.2 billion naira in 2016. Finally, in the world news at 5 is sport news. Super Eagles manager Aghemerio Oaikhenan has been handed a big injury boost shortly before he released his provisional roster for the World Cup, with heartwarming news that Nigerian international Alex Iwobi is back in training for Arsenal. The 21-year-old had pulled up with a hamstring in the 2-1 defeat to Manchester United last weekend, and it was earlier envisaged that he is set for a spell on the sidelines. But he was part of the Ghana's players that trained on Wednesday ahead of the trip to Spain, where they will face Atletico Madrid in the return fixture of the Europa League semi-final clash. Iwobi is chasing down a milestone for the North London club, as he is in need of 5 more games to reach a 100-game appearance for Arsene Wenger's side. Barring any last-minute eventuality, the player is certain to be named among the Super Eagles traveling party to the World Cup tournament next month. That was the world news at 5. And just before we go, the major stories once again. Yayi and Isiaka agreed to work together on Ogun State 2019 governorship. Varsity's non-academic staff want up to resume their suspended strike. Nigeria's Chief Justice warned court staff against leaking judgment. Troops repelled insurgent attack on Borno village. On the foreign scene, we reported that dust stormed killed 74, injured scores in India. UN wants Trump not to dump Iran's nuclear deal. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you for listening. I am Aghemerio Oaikhenan. Good evening.